Welcome back to the Placeholder Podcast, everybody. I'm Kaylee Fretz. Johnny Long, welcome to the show. Set the scene for me.
Hello. I'm looking out, and instead of seeing you three on my Zoom call, it's a bunch of faces, which is quite perturbing, but also nice. It's nice, but it's a realization that there are actually people listening this time for sure. It's not people pressing play and just turning the audio down because they want to support what we do.
What are we doing? Where are we? What's going on?
Sorry, I didn't really do it. We're at the, I don't know the official term, Jared's over there and he's going to be shooting daggers at me. It's the Escape... Yeah. The Escape Members Summit for the 2024 Spring Classics at the Park Hotel. Yeah. Is that it? Is that yeah.
I'm asking for scene setting, Johnny.
I'm trying. It's very overwhelming.
Ian Trellar, set the scene for me.
Get a professional
Conference room, grey carpet, wood walls, mirrors. I can see a mirror.
Real wood?
Hairy roof.
No, false wood.
Hairy roof.
Hairy roof. Menacing air conditioning unit coming down from above.
The smallest spotlights ever created.
And?
Wispy curtains out to a courtyard.
Do you want to try a third time lucky?
Ronan, set the scene for me.
We have a whole host of our Escape Collective members here with us. Thank you.
Put it on a platter.
Finally got there. I mean, the effort these people have taken to come here to see us. I mean,
Yeah.
we know the effort that takes. Like, and they've probably told their families where they're going, and their families are like, "My God, you've seen those people loads of times before." You know, nothing better you could be doing. So, deeply appreciate everybody being here.
Yeah.
It's great to have actually all their faces looking back at us, even if it is slightly disconcerting. Because my number one rule for podcasting is to tell myself that nobody listens to it, and there is. I cannot tell myself that today. Unfortunately,
When you have like 3 podcasts that you have to do that with.
that's 3 times 0 is 0, Johnny.
Oh, true. Yeah. Forgot about that.
We're half live today. So obviously we're making a podcast for all of you out there listening on the internet, but we're also making a podcast for 20-something Escape Collective members who are sitting in the room with us today. We've got a lot to get through. We have some big existential questions about Van der Poel and Tom Bonen, which we'll get to, I think, right at the start here. We're going to talk a bit of Flanders, bit of Roubaix, bit of Mick Rogers. We'll get into all that later in the show. And then, of course, we're going to have a weekly pain. And because we are sitting in front of some members, we're going to pull somebody up and do that real time, live.
I just had a thought. Could we not have got like 4 members and had them record a podcast, and we could have taken the evening off?
Yeah, they already planned the show.
Let's get into it. All right. We already talked about Flanders in the sort of post-Flanders episode, and Abby talked about the women's race on Wheel Talk. So we're not going to sort of dive into any of the minutiae of that and any of the details of that race. Kind of the same thing about Roubaix, because we will be running another episode ahead of Roubaix at the end of this week. But we came out of that race, particularly the men's race, with this question about Mathieu van der Poel. And was it posted on... Somebody put it on X or Twitter, whatever it is.
I think it was a Flemish podcast that I had seen had asked the question.
Of course, Ronan.
Credit where it's due.
So here's the question.
You might not have asked that question. That was just how I translated it. So it could have been an entirely different question.
So here's the question. And then we did a bit of research to try to answer this, but I'm also interested in the insight from our members sitting in front of us. Is Mathieu van der Poel now better than Tom Bonen?
Ooh.
And
Hot takes.
In what metric?
also, better is a really loose
Okay,
term,
better or
right?
worse?
Better in terms of a brand ambassador for Alpecin shampoo.
Yeah.
Worse. Way worse.
In terms of race results.
Oh, that I don't know.
No. Yeah, because Bonen has the much shinier head.
Yes.
You can't amplify that.
No. Ronan, you have the answer, do you?
Well, statistically speaking, he is not. If you go off Pro Cycling Stats comparison head to head, it's not even close. Tom Bonen has 67.5% versus Mathieu van der Poel's 32.5.
But Pro Cycling Stats is a road cycling.
This
Stats
is the point. This is the question. Tom Bonen,
Okay.
as impressive as Mathieu van der Poel is, Tom Bonen's Palmares top results: 4 times Paris-Roubaix, 3 times Tour of Flanders, 3 times Ghent-Wevelgem, 6 Tour stages, 5 times E3. It's the kind of list of results that you see and you go, 4 Paris-Roubaix, 3 Tour of Flanders, 3 Ghent-Wevelgem. You think that's like 4th, 3rd, and 3rd. It's not. It's 4 times he's won it, 3 times he's won it, 5 times he's won E3, and he's won a world championship.
And 22 stages of the Tour of Qatar.
Yeah, and 4 overalls. So
Of
eat
the
that,
Tour of
Matthew.
Qatar?
Yes.
Oh, very important.
And
Van der Poel could never.
2 Skelde Prize, which a lot of our members here are going to watch tomorrow. 2 times he's won Skelde Prize.
What's the Van der Poel list?
3 times Flanders and 1 world championship. So that is, in terms of road, that is the only thing that he matches Tom Boonen on. But he also has a Milan San Remo. He also has an
Which
Amstel
Boonen
Gold.
never got.
Yep. He also has an Amstel Gold, which Boonen never got. He's got a Strada Bianchi. He has 1 E3, so he's on his way. He's got 1 Tour de France stage, which is we all knew he had 1, but it's also kind of surprising he only has 1, I think.
Did Tom Boonen ever give a child a carpet burn in an Australian hotel before the World Championships? Because that's not on Pro Cycling Stats. Last time I checked.
And as such, I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yep, fair enough.
Allegedly.
No, it was.
Oh, no, it was confirmed.
proven. Yeah.
It was confirmed.
I may counter that with the question: has Van der Poel ever danced on top of a table in a nightclub and been arrested shortly after?
Or got
Ooh.
busted for cocaine.
See,
I didn't want to go that
I
far.
was going to ask if we could do that as a special people here segment of the things that we can say and not put it on the internet, but you've gone straight for it.
You can say that part. The cocaine part was like a WADA thing. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I think the question,
Not all the other times.
the real crux of this question, the reason it's more difficult to answer than we've just made it out to be, because clearly Boonen still takes it on the road. But first of all, Van der Poel is rapidly approaching a Palmares at least equal to, if not better than Tom Boonen's. And secondly, when you add in how versatile Van der Poel is with his cyclocross and with his mountain biking, as a bike rider, if you take disciplines out of it, just as a bike rider, I think there's a valid argument for saying Van der Poel is now the better rider.
Shall we get some views from the audience? Maybe I give my mic to Ian and then his very long mic, I could sort of take it around if anyone wants to get their 2 cents. Is that a bad idea?
Opinions out there?
Does anyone want to?
Van der Poel's still riding. He's still got a few years to get there.
How old is he now?
29.
29. Yeah,
He's
so he's
born
got
in-
half a decade.
He was born in the year 1995. I thought he was born in the summer of 1995, which I was going to say I remember being so good. We had a heat wave. I remember we had an Irish heat wave, the seldom seen Irish heat wave.
The year with less drizzle.
The rain was warm.
Other thoughts? Bonen, Van der Poel?
In relation to the Van der Poel carpet burn incident, he actually, although it was probably not widely reported in the European press, won his appeal, so he is technically not guilty of that offence.
Not guilty.
He was charged with it on that morning, and then he dropped out of the Worlds in 22. But he actually won his appeal. Cost him a lot of money at the Supreme Court, but he's technically not, and that kid was a brat. So
So now it's going to cost us a lot of money because I've just defamed Matthew Van der Poel.
It's also another point to Tom Boonen because he now is the only one with a criminal record of any sort.
The listeners can't hear you
The question came, what about Pogacar, Ronan?
And
in the trio.
And what we were referring to was race results, but I took it to mean...
You took it to mean criminal record. Yeah, fair enough.
Which I was unaware of for Tadej Pogacar. I'm pretty sure he's squeaky clean.
So Ronan, you came down on Team Van der Poel, which is shocking.
No,
actually.
I don't think I did. I'm merely asking the question. I'm still a Tom Boonen fan.
Yeah, you were saying that was the first year you got into cycling. Boonen won Roubaix, Flanders, and the Worlds.
I was a couple of years into cycling, but the first full season
Proper.
I followed, 2005, Boonen won Flanders and Roubaix double, and then went on to win the Worlds and had a techno trance Belgian dance song
It's fantastic.
clipped up from the audio from that, the commentator's audio from that Worlds one, which is...
Oh, is that what we were listening
That's
to
Have
on
you
the
all
beer
heard
bike?
this song? We'll play it on the bus at some point this week.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. All right, so follow-up question. I don't think we're going to solve that one, to be honest. I think we have to wait a couple years.
Who would
basically.
you rather be friends with?
I was actually going to... Sure. Who would you rather be friends with, Ian?
Tom Boonen.
Tom Boonen.
I don't know Tom Boonen well enough, but I've had a couple of interactions with Van der Poel and he didn't hate me. So I'm going to go with safety.
So you're saying Van der Poel?
Sorry, I'm saying Van der Poel.
Tom Bonen by a lot. Yeah, I've chatted with him a couple different times. He's among the nicest people I've ever interviewed, actually.
Oh,
He's
really?
Very professional.
We're not looking for nice friends, kid. We're looking for fun friends.
Cocaine and arrest warrant friends.
I don't know what's more fun than that, Ronan. We have another question, follow-up question. Who would you rather have on your team? And again, this is all off the back of Flanders' victory on Sunday. Would you rather have Mathieu van der Poel or Wout van Aert on your bicycle team?
It depends who I am. If I'm
There's a lot of Wouts coming from
a lot
the
of Wouts
audience
coming
here.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, good question.
Let's say it's Flanders. Let's say it's Flanders.
Should we do a vote? Should we do a quick vote?
That takes the question out of it because Van Aert has never won a Flanders, and Van der Poel has never.
Let's
won
say
3.
it's this whole week.
No, I'm saying I think
But
the question came from the whole season. Who would you rather have on your team?
Yeah. Someone just asked which tires. I have to admit, I just laughed along. I don't understand the jokes when it goes to tech.
All right, fine. Whole season. Who would you rather have as a teammate, Mathieu van der Poel or Wout van Aert?
I mean, we've seen that Plan B movie from Jumbo Visma where Wout did his best to make it look like he didn't care about any of his teammates' successes, while trying to say that he was really grateful for everything that happened and when Plan B took over.
Well, so let's just consider what they've both done, right? You've got Wout van Aert, who has, I would say, been pretty pivotal to Jonas Vingegaard winning Tours de France, right? And then on the other side, you've got Mathieu van der Poel, who didn't hand Philipsen, Milan-San Remo on a platter, but came as close as you could as a teammate at the end of Milan-San Remo. They've both done pretty incredible things for teammates, right?
Won Philipsen tour stages.
Yeah, he's led out Philipsen for many tour stages. They both have been great teammates over the years. So both from a kind of serious perspective, like which one would you actually rather have on your team if you're a team leader, for example, you're a co-leader, and also just vibes based, which one would you rather have on the team bus?
If I'm putting myself in this place and I'm on one of the teams, I am like a very lowly domestique who's not really going to many good races. So the fact of having Van der Poel on my team means he's off winning the races, sponsors are happy, no one probably notices me, they just renew my contract, like a random bit of paperwork on the desk. Whereas I imagine Wout van Aert demands certain things of his team and makes them, train and the like. Does Van der Poel know what most of his teammates are doing most of the year? Probably not.
No. All right, so Johnny's on Team Van der Poel. Ronan?
I think if I was team management, I'd probably want Wout van Aert because you would, despite not winning a Flanders or Roubaix yet, you would be heading into every season confident he would. And should he win a monument like that, he would then also probably win a stage of the Tour, probably help your GC rider win the Tour, do all the other things that he does every year. So I'd probably say Wout. Even if the way Netflix made it look in the Tour 2 years ago might suggest that Van Aert maybe isn't the best guy to have on the bus, which I don't think is true.
I think that was somewhat contrived. We
Yeah.
talked about that a lot
I think
in
so,
other
yeah.
podcasts,
Yeah.
though. Yeah. Ian, your vibes-based assessment, let's be honest.
Well, easily.
Why?
Because I get negative vibes from Mathieu van der Poel.
You don't from Wout van Aert?
No, I get good vibes from him.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I should also flag for the listeners that my voice is not normally like this. I have a bit of a cold.
Getting over a bit of a cold, hopefully, because you're staying with Johnny and I. All right, so
Ian actually hits on a point that has long been a difficulty for me, in that for some reason, if it's Van der Poel versus Van Aert, I want to see Van Aert win.
Yeah, because underdog. In that
I don't know if he is the
Why?
underdog though. I don't know why, but
he is though.
I think
In terms of what they've won.
I think I can't really warm to either of them, but I'm slightly less cold to Van Aert, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
thoughts from the audience?
But if we base it on recent results, it's totally Van der Poel. Like Van
we're
Aert's
going
helped
for
other
results.
people, but in terms of his own results, his own palmarès.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think it's not really a contest at the moment.
I think if you're a team manager and you want someone who's going to guarantee you success and get the results that's going to keep the sponsors happy,
Yeah.
as much as Van Aert does that and also helps teammates, the surefire thing at the moment seems to be Van der Poel.
Wow, because he's better looking.
He is good. He is better looking, yeah. He's also freakishly tall. Every time I see him, he towers. somehow.
Well, this is the thing. There's a lot of question marks over what height Wout van Aert actually is.
Really?
Because
We've stood in front of him many times.
Quantify a lot.
well, I'll just say that some people have gone to great lengths to try and measure his height.
You.
No.
Have
no,
you gone through great lengths to measure his height?
No,
Ronan?
I haven't. The question mark arises because at one point he was listed as, I think, 1.88 m, and then coincidentally he joined Jumbo-Visma, and allegedly along with a few other riders who were very close to the magical 1.90 m UCI category change, he suddenly became 1.90 m.
Maybe they stretched him out on one of those medieval boards.
I mean, there is a marginal gain in rider stretching, but
You have to explain a little bit of what you're talking about.
so if you're 1.90 m, you can get an exception. You can get into. It used to be an exception in that you got extra reach on your time trial position. Then the UCI have now split it into 3 categories, and yet you have below 1.80 m and above 1.90 m, and in the middle you've got category 2, 1.80 m to 1.90 m. So anyway,
basically, you can get faster on your time trial bike if you're
by
over
being in
1.9
category
meters.
3, being 1.90 m tall or higher, you can get extra reach on your time trial position, which will help you in getting into a faster position, theoretically.
If they can measure socks, they can measure a man.
You would think so. You would think so. Can I just, while we're on this
Put that
point,
on a t-shirt.
while we're on this point, can I just highlight the ridiculousness of the fact that when the UCI introduced their 3 category system for new time trial positions,
Oh no!
it
Here we
does
go.
mean
Here we go.
no, very, very, very briefly, and I think everybody will
When he
agree.
says
it's-
briefly, it's half an hour, but you only hear like 5 minutes.
I think everybody will agree it's ridiculous that anybody who wants to participate in their national championships, so this can be someone who is not a World Tour rider, has a 9-to-5 job, they need to go to a doctor, take up that doctor's valuable time to get their height measured and signed off so that they can get a category 2 or category 3 dispensation.
Is this a personal grievance?
Mostly not. Partly yes. No, I just think it's a massive waste of time on a resource that's already greatly stretched in pretty much every single country.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about I don't know who might fix that going forward.
Just a height thing beside the bike check.
Ronan, I'm breaking. We're gonna be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Ronan, the individual who you email most often,
And are definitely
over-
not best friends with.
definitely not best friends with, over at the UCI, you will no longer be able to email as of, well, I think soon, now, right now.
Yes.
When's it happening?
As of last Thursday.
What's going on?
Michael Rogers I think he's quit the UCI. He was head of innovation and esports at the UCI, and he's now stepped down from that role with effectively immediate effect.
Explain the significance to myself and our audience out there. Why does this matter? I mean, Mick Rogers, we know him as a time trial world champ, phenomenal rider in his day. What has he been doing at the UCI, and why? If you had to guess, why is he on the way out?
I think it's very difficult to say exactly what he did at the UCI because he wasn't given much rein to actually speak to us in the media or anything at the UCI, and he's been there for 3 years, which is considerably longer than anybody else has lasted in that same position.
Yeah.
Over the past decade or so.
I think when I was a tech editor, I went through like 5 of them in about 7 years.
Yeah.
It's like the defense against the dark arts position at Hogwarts.
It's almost identical. Yeah.
Johnny, you know sometimes when I talk and you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now I know the feeling.
So Mick, who actually I think you and I would both say has been nothing but professional and actually quite helpful, particularly relative to some previous folks that were in that role, and also I think did a pretty good job. Like we give the UCI a lot of crap for the various things that they do and sort of the inadequacies of their rule book and all the things that happen on a regular basis, the sock height and the helmets and everything else. But I think Mick Rogers did a pretty good job. Would you agree with that?
I think in that organization, and I've never been, I've been in Eagle once actually, but I've never been in the UCI, never mind seeing how the inner workings actually operate. But I think within that organization, I imagine that's a very, very difficult job. Some of the sort of politics involved there that presumably most of us never even hear about, that someone as head of innovation who is sort of the front face for effectively what the regulations are and what the changes are, and even though most often those changes are probably directed by other individuals within the organization, I think that's a very difficult balancing act, and especially when you've probably got ourselves and every other media publication
bothering them,
not even bothering them, but just sort of reacting to their every move, and being the face of that when really it's probably beyond your control most of the time. That's probably not an easy job.
So do you take any percentage of the blame for him quitting, or do you think that's not relevant?
I merely report the facts, Johnny.
Oh, nice. Ian, do you think you have a new member of the sort of outside of the UCI fan club in Michael Rogers? Do you think he's going to reach out and be like, hey, we're buddies now, we're part of our own little group?
I doubt it. But I would like Ronan to do the same thing to my best friend at the UCI and make him go away.
Who would that be, Ian?
I wouldn't like to say.
Okay.
He who must not be named.
Ronan, I've always believed that whoever takes that role, and the reason why we've seen so many people in and out of it is the fact that essentially the UCI rulebook is broken, right? Like the UCI rulebook doesn't actually work, and so it doesn't matter who you put in that position.
I think it works exactly how the people who
wrote it want it to work.
Yes.
It just doesn't work for the person in that particular role who has to defend it on a regular basis.
It doesn't work for the sport either.
Yeah. So do you think there's any chance of us getting a new rule book at some point? I mean, they had to write the one that they have now at some point, right? It's 1997, came out as something called the Lugano Charter. Are we going to get another one ever?
It's so long and so tedious that it's going to take them like a decade.
I think it took them a year
I just say
last
it's
time.
so short and so vague?
No, seriously, are we going to get a new rule book at some point? Like at some point, like I said, we've been through 9 different people in 12 years.
Jenny, I don't know what kind of impact the head of innovation would have on the rulebook, or if there was a new rulebook planned, or if Mick Rogers his departure speeds up or delays a change in the rules. I really don't think that the person in that position would have any ability to really make wholesale changes there. I think the powers that be in that organization want the sport to remain a certain way, and while that's the status quo, I don't see anybody going into that role having a fair chance at making any change. And that's kind of, like, again, it's so very difficult to put your finger on actually what Mick Rogers would have been doing over the past 3 years, not because he was doing nothing, but because you just could not get actually speaking to him. To like the amount of times we requested an interview, I've lost count at this point, and to the point where we've just given up. But I've lost my train of thought.
While you remember it, in a like a weird imagined parallel universe, if the UCI came knocking at your door and offered you the role, would you take it out of curiosity, if nothing else?
No.
Just curiosity to see how it all worked.
Idiocracy, is that a word? No. That's
The
not a
what?
word.
Idiocracy?
Idiocracy, that's the word I'm looking
different
for. You might take it out of that, but the point I was trying to get to is just that, there's a reason this is effectively a revolving door. And as much as I have no real idea, for the reasons I just mentioned, what Mick Rogers was doing in there, I think the person that most cyclists will know in Mick Rogers and the success that he had as a bike rider, and his fondness for time trials, give you some modicum of sort of confidence that there was a voice in there, at least fighting the World Tour riders and World Tour teams corner and the time trials corner. And with that gone, my concern now is like what's going to come next. Is there a filter for whatever madness they want to, like, in future, if Giro develop a new helmet and the UCI come out and say we want to ban this thing or we're reviewing this thing, is the filter that presumably was Mick Rogers beforehand gone, and a company can now go and develop in something and have it banned overnight?
So you'd like you in the role more so than me, I think.
I think what I'm saying is you may have had your way with the head sock sooner.
One of my greatest achievements.
And it's very difficult to talk on this because you just don't know what happens in there. I mean, that's one of my that's my core problem with the UCI.
Is that not part of the
there's
allure?
Is that what, sir?
Part of the allure that it's like this weird mystical thing
I don't think
where
there is
things
any
just
other-
happen. No.
No.
We should move on.
Yeah.
This week in the Basque Country, Tom Pidcock actually, I've never even started. He was a DNS at Basque Country with crashed in the recon for the opening time trial and hurt his hip. Do we have any additional information on this? Do we know what's going on with Pidcock? There's a video of him getting carried out of his bus, which is not great.
Well, it's a weird one as well. Well, the only thing I've seen, I haven't necessarily been keeping across it because me and Ian have been off doing things.
We'll talk about things.
We'll talk about that. Apparently, it's very windy, so that may have contributed to Pidcock's crash, maybe Evenepoel's crash. Definitely not Primoz Roglic's wrong turn, which we'll get to in a second. That was not wind caused. But yeah, the video was very odd. All the Ineos team stuff outside the bus, and then suddenly like quite a large Soigne someone, definitely over 1.9 meters, is pictured like carrying Pidcock down the stairs of the bus and out towards the car. And Pidcock's obviously like quite a small man, but this man is carrying him as if he's a child. And it's just like, if he's injured, surely that's not how you carry an injured person anywhere. Like, what sort of injury do you have to be sort of held like a baguette as you're carried off of a large bus?
The dynamic there was not so much a cyclist and a staff member as
Mary and
a
child.
dad and a tired 6-year-old.
Yes, which actually has been at the forefront of your mind because we're staying in Kortrijk where there's a fun fair. Sorry, Kaylee, we're going slightly off piste here. There's a massive fun fair in the middle for the Easter weekend celebrations, and you mentioned to Matt Deneve last night as we were watching. It was 10 p.m. and there was just young children everywhere, and you were both looking horrified as fathers yourselves.
I think that there's some curious European component to parenthood where they keep their children up. Apologies to any Europeans in the audience, but what do you do the next day when you have your kids up at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, like shoveling fairy floss into their mouths? There was a kid that we saw who had like a cone full of icing sugar and he was just pouring it down his throat.
He was managing to walk exactly where he was supposed to down the street for at least 10 meters while not looking at the road and pouring sugar into his mouth. It was great. But yeah, you were horrified. You turned to Matt and be like, what would happen the next day if this had happened to you? And be like, the next day's gone. It's just gone.
The days
Forget
are right
about
off
it.
until lunch, maybe later.
Anyway, what were we talking
We're
about?
talking about Pidcock.
Yeah.
Do we think there's any long-term implications of this? I mean, he said he couldn't put weight on it. He was going to race the Ardennes. Like,
As we
anything?
sort of said earlier, the image of him being carried that way was both very, very scary and very, very reassuring because
Okay, yeah.
why was he being carried that way? He must have been in immense pain, but it couldn't have been that bad if they're carrying him that way.
Yeah.
It's
Can
like-
I also add objectively funny into that mix?
Yes.
Do you think that's the new marginal gain for Ineos is
Just carry.
be funny? Funny videos.
he did say in the little video that they put out that he doesn't like the scans didn't show anything.
Okay.
So I think that in theory he'll be all right.
When-
but
I was going to say the long-term effect is that as team manager of Team DSM Firmenich post NL, there is a group of young people with dreams who believe they can make wonders of life under the leadership of Uncle New Internet Technology Company Limited,
Yeah.
who have Team Tom Pidcock on their roster.
Not looking good.
It's a
Dreams are dying.
It's a very worrying moment. Though, yeah, that group of young people with dreams are currently watching them turn into nightmares.
Do you think Ineos will at some point stop doing time trial recons because their riders keep on crashing? At this point,
They may further optimize the recons.
we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to do a real quick Roubaix preview. Again, we'll go into much more depth later this week. But, wow, frankly, we had a bit of on-the-ground insight, not only from the members in front of us. You all rode the last 4 sectors today. Car 4 in, I think. The real good ones, I would say. But also, we had our own Ian Treloar and Johnny Long out with Shimano Neutral Service and the ASO.
Yeah.
You were out on the trip that they do to do the final rating of the cobbles. So like how many stars they are, for example, which
Never changes.
doesn't change. So I'm not really entirely sure why they do this, but we sent you anyway for some reason. What was it
For
like?
some reason, you sent us to something that's was taken very seriously by everyone else there. The day started in a quaint little place called Café Chez Françoise. She was this nice. Françoise was a nice little French woman. We get sort of like shoehorned into this tiny little house/cafe where there are more people in there than you could possibly imagine from seeing it from the outside. We sit down in a very small table, squeezed in, and are served like omelets, like a huge plate of meatloaf, cheeses. We're accosted by a local journalist asking us if we like the meatloaf and cheeses, which we haven't eaten yet.
He was very surprised to learn that that people like us eat cheese like the French.
Yep.
Wait.
Yeah,
Explain
sorry,
that.
it's
Before you explain, tell
eat
me,
this cheese?
were you speaking French or were you speaking English?
a little bit of both.
Do I speak French?
I don't know.
I use the restaurant French to explain because one of the people, the old man working there, was asking us why we weren't eating the meat yet, and I had to say we were waiting for our omelets. Anyway, enough about that. Then we set off to discover some of the cobbles of Paris-Roubaix, as you guys did today. You saw the same thing as us, right? It's all very wet and muddy. You were on your bikes. I was in a car. So yeah, I mean, we should ask the audience how it was because it didn't look great from the car.
It wasn't great from the car.
How was it? Who wants to tell us how the cobbles are as of Tuesday? Granted, the long time between now and Saturday, Sunday.
It was reminiscent of when Lizzie Deignan was riding sideways in the wet.
Did anybody ride sideways? We got a lot of
we've
hands
got like
up.
7 hands.
We got a lot of hands up.
Too Fast, Too Furious, Roubaix Drift.
Any followers today? Any followers? Anybody? There was. Oh god.
We had a
Is
couple
everyone
crashes
okay?
today.
From this group or from different groups?
People are okay?
Everyone's
Is everyone
okay? Okay, good.
Okay.
Good.
I nearly fell
Everyone's
over
okay.
and I rode about 100 meters with flat bars. So
I nearly
flat
fell over
bars,
walking
flat.
on a bit.
Yeah.
Can I say? Can I admit that having gone to recon or having gone to photograph the recons for that 2021? That was 2021.
Yeah.
Roubaix on my own. There
The
was
Lizzie
one
one?
sector.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was on feet with boots, and there was one sector I did properly fall over on.
Yeah.
With nobody else around to see it, and I felt like a
No,
right.
we were stopping at sectors and people like walking around looking at like they made on some ones where they were cleaning the mud off, they made school-aged children clear the mud off. One was on like a small tractor with like a
Did you
mud
see the
clearing
goats?
thing. We're about to
We're
get to the
getting
goats.
to that, Kaylee.
Oh, good.
There were also like a small army of school-aged children with like spades trying to like just get the mud off
Yeah,
of
and
the cobbles,
brutes.
and it was, and everyone, all the French media are there like taking pictures of them, and I'm like, is this some sort of tradition I've missed? Because they should be in school.
It was not a tradition. It was a media opportunity because as
But
soon
for
as
what?
we'd all
relevance?
finished taking pictures, everyone just packed up and left, and there was so much of the sector that had not been cleaned.
Okay, the one serious thing I would say is that the condition of the sectors was severe enough that I don't want to dob anyone in, but there were pictures being sent from people within sort of the race organization of the cobbles to the Paris-Roubaix 2024 WhatsApp group. Just pictures of like, this is a massive puddle. We probably should do something.
John, how do they actually rate?
We
how does
didn't
this work?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you saw it, Ian. I didn't see any rating happening, but we weren't necessarily paying the correct amount of attention to the official things.
I will say that we went to a press conference in a basketball stadium
That was
in a place
great.
called Danan, and
Which is where the start of the women's races on Saturday.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
everything there was deeply French to the point that the only words that I heard from that press conference were Ellen Van Dyke, Marion Roos, Laurent Jalabert. So make of that what you will.
Yeah, that press conference was great.
Do you ever watch? Did you
He
ever
a
listen
noted
to
French
Radio
speaker.
1 where they used to do the tedious link?
No.
It's maybe.
Is it like Magic Mystery Voices?
Where you just have something like this, and you have to figure out what the
Oh, I
previous
figure
thing
it out.
between
Okay.
them is.
Well,
I mean, Ellen Van Dijk and Marianne Roos is current pros, but Lauren Jalabert.
Yeah.
So do you think the sectors were rated accurately?
No idea. Couldn't tell you.
And we actually asked people what how many stars is this one, and our driver was like, I don't know.
I mean, he wasn't one of the guys rating it, but yeah.
I think we had a question. There's a question.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, Eric and you guys have organised proper Belgian weather for us, and the Carrefour and Mons en Faville were it was hard, windy, cold, wet. So you guys organised the full entertainment experience for all of us. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
There we go. That
We
was
do what
not
we
planned. Come along next year. Yes, then we met the goats in the Arenberg Forest quickly before we wrap up this this weird segment. The goats. Ian found a great affinity with the goats.
Yeah,
We should explain what the goats are first. Sorry,
Marianne Vos and Eddie Merckx.
they weren't there.
Oh,
They might
thought
have
that's
been.
who
There was a whole crowd. There was basically every stop there was a huge like huddle, like scrum of a press conference with a person saying different quotes. So maybe that was the grading, and everyone was fiercely writing.
and all of these local newspapers and local radio stations were just huddled around. And if you were to watch French news tonight, you would see me and Johnny in the background just laughing,
Stroking goats.
stroking goats, like tickling a goat on the chin.
Can I make a proposal for next year that perhaps we send someone who can speak French?
or pays attention to what we're actually supposed to be there for. Yes, Jared. We could send Jared. Anyway, the goats. We tried to interview the man who was the king of the goats.
To explain the goats come onto the cobbled sectors and
Eat the
groom
grass.
it with their teeth.
Yes,
They
graze.
They graze.
They graze.
Sorry.
And the humans who make sure there are humans there who look after the goats. Who, if the goats stray from the cobbles and try to eat the more luscious grass on the side, they push them back onto the cobbles.
Are you a shepherd if you look after goats?
These
or are
guys,
you-
shepherds in high vis.
shepherds are sheep. So what is it?
Goat
herd.
herds.
Okay.
Okay.
Johnny
A
and
goat
I
herd.
combined conducted the worst interviews.
The
of our
worst interview
career.
ever. We could put. Okay, we'll listen back to it. Maybe we put it into this podcast for people
We'll
to
see.
listen to.
So
It was terrible.
It was really bad.
I think
so,
people have already stopped listening, by the way.
Oh yeah, that happens every week.
So I think the highlight was when I asked Johnny to ask the goat herder, who clearly didn't want to
Well,
be
I
there.
turned to you and was like, "Do you have any questions for him?" After
and
I
I
tried.
said, "What is your favorite goat?"
Yep.
And then he
The guy looked at me like, "Could you please just fuck off?" Which we did.
But I had a favorite goat. There was are people okay with a bit of goat talk? There was variety. I wasn't expecting such variety in the
Grand
goats. There were really
variety.
little ones. There were really tall ones. Like,
We could have ridden the tall ones.
but there are some that were like this tall. There were some that were just standing there, like disassociating from
Yeah.
being in their little, fenced area of the cobbles and not eating anything. So they're largely ornamental at that point. But there's one which was just this tall blonde. I don't know what gender.
He was magnificent. No, he was a boy. He
Was
was
he?
definitely a boy.
Okay. So he just came over to the fence and sort of stood there and looked at me, and I looked at him.
I thought you were going to kiss.
So I went in close, and we were standing about like this far, noses apart,
Not even that far.
and he didn't try and bite my nose off, to his credit. And we just shared a moment, and I tickled him under the chin.
As two species with a job to do at Paru Bay that nobody really cares about.
Yes. Did we have not to murder the segment to the ground? Did we have a question about the goats in the corner? We did. Excellent.
Many questions about the goats. Primarily, what were their names and were they puns of cyclists?
I wanted to find out the names of the goats, and
Ian picks up his
Of
notebook.
course.
yeah, my favorite goat had a yellow tag on its ear. It was goat number 361.
The only interaction was when one of the goats tried to eat the coat of one of the journalists in the scrum.
A serious journalist who was not having any
a capital
of it.
J journalist who then turned around and looked at the goat scornfully as if the goat would understand what her look meant.
I think the goats are a good sort of comparison to ourselves in Escape Collective. You've got people doing serious
Yeah.
work at Bay, and then you've got
Well, and then we got to
You
ride a
got the
bike.
goat who like won't do his job, eat the grass. He's eating the coat of another journalist.
Yeah.
Are we the goat? We are the goat.
Not in.
We're
Yeah.
the goats, yeah.
Okay.
We're the goats.
Right. Is that what you wanted from that segment, Kayla? You put it on the run sheet.
Sure.
I have one serious question about the goats.
Yeah.
Was today, I don't think it was, but was today their first day on the sectors, or are they
Yes.
roaming all?
Yes.
Because they haven't got much time.
Oh, the goats.
Yeah.
They eat fast.
Yeah,
Like,
they were.
how long is Arenberg?
I think you're underestimating how many goats were there. They were like 40 within, but also only at the end, or maybe they moved them up. Oh,
I
my
mean,
God.
if
So
they
many
have to-
questions we should have asked.
if they have to graze and devour the entire length of Arenberg, that is a
It's
lot
like
of eating.
it's 30K of cobbles or whatever.
I would also question, like, grass is probably not good for traction, but the amount of shit that a goat does, like, there's just
They were all shitting everywhere.
pebbles
Yeah.
pouring
That is
out of
actually
them.
their job, is to take the slippy stuff and make it slippier.
So it just sort of like molds into the.
They
the
run a
cracks
street
through the
sweeper.
cobbles.
I don't want to get too gross because also I realized we can't edit this out because we're saying it in front of real people. I didn't realize goats did number ones and number twos from two very distinct different places. Did you notice that, Ian? Did you notice that? Or was that just me?
I didn't notice that, but what I did notice is that the way that a goat poos is like if you open a bag of Maltesers and then you just like pour it out, just tumbling out of the back of a goat.
We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for this week's Weekly Pain. We have a real-life contestant right in front of us. Why don't you come on up, grab a mic. All right, so first and foremost, I think introduce yourself, where you come from, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm Pete. I come from the UK originally, but I live in Seattle,
Oh. Where in the UK?
Gloucester.
Gloucester.
And
I think I know where that is.
You'll be challenging Johnny Long today. This will be a classic game of categories, as we've played many, many times. And so you will need to go back and forth and give me a name, well, proper noun, that fits in the particular category. So your first category is riders in the top 10 of the men's or women's Paris-Roubaix last year. So you've got 20 riders total. We'll start with you, Pete.
Matthew van der Poel.
Well done.
That was going to be my guess.
Johnny.
Jasper Philipsen.
Yep.
Alison Jackson.
Pete, you're killing me.
Over to you, Johnny.
This could be an early out here. I'm going to go
You've got 17 left.
for... Oh, did he crash out or did he finish? Did he stop? I'm going to go... Oh, this could be out. Wout van Aert?
Yep. Third last year.
Lotte Kopecky.
Yep. Seventh.
I was really hoping you got that one wrong. Okay. What about Matej Mohoric?
Nope. Johnny's out. Well done. Should we play another round?
Yes.
That was a quick one. All right.
I should point out, I have no idea why I volunteered for this because I'm terrible at bike grid. And this is basically
Same.
the same thing.
Perfect.
We do appreciate the shout out, though. All right. Second round. Roubaix sectors. The names
I'm done.
of the Roubaix sectors. We've got, and specifically, I think I pulled the list from this year, 2024. So there's 29 total. Some of them have like a name to name. If you give me any piece of that name, I'll count it.
May I just point out at this point that Johnny has driven all of them today?
No, not all of them. Many, not all.
Pete, you want to go first?
I did ride 3 of them today, but I only know the name of one. Carrefour de l'Arbre.
That does count. Johnny?
Darenberg.
The Ehrenberg. Yep. Pete?
Mons en Pavel.
Yep.
Oh, I would have pronounced that wrong. Is there a Troisville?
There is a Troisville. It's among the early ones. Pete?
Chemin Mons Pavel.
Let me see if that's actually in this list this year. You're close.
I'll give it. Come on.
Should we give it to him?
Yeah, of course.
It's Campfen en Pavel.
In my defense, it was Johan Brunel, Johan Musée telling us the name. His accent is quite strong. So
it's one of the early ones. We'll give it to you. Back to Johnny.
I'm not sure this is the name, but I'm really grabbing at straws here. There was a Bernard Hinault section.
That.
You're not going to give it
No.
to me, are you? Then why was there a huge plaque? Oh, I've just thought of another one.
All right,
Forget it.
Let's keep going.
No.
Come on.
Well, there was the Goulet section. His sector.
But you have to give me the actual name of it. You can't. It's the same as the the plaque version of the name does not count.
Oh well, then I've got nothing but plaques.
All right, Pete.
2-0.
Congratulations, you are the champion.
thank you.
You win my job. There you go. I'm useless. Well done.
I think with that, it's time for us to wrap up for everybody that's out on the internet. We are going to do a bit of a Escape After Dark Q&A with the members sitting right in front of us. So if you are a member, thank you first and foremost for supporting everything that we do here at Escape Collective. And you get to keep hanging out. If you're not a member, this is the end of the episode, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.